Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land and Facebook Live land. We are WordPress Tampa Bay. This is our Ask Us Anything crowdsourcing WordPress support workshop. I am Jim True. I'm the lead organizer for WordPress Tampa Bay. And below me, we have Travis Lopes and Elaine Simmons, who are our co-leaders for this wonderful evening. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Alrighty, WordPress Tampa Bay. We meet monthly on the third Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Online. We're doing online for our Ask Us Anythings and in person for quarterly socials, though we haven't really had a quarterly social this month mostly because of the rain. We're getting as much and stuff, and we may actually just postpone that until the fall. Our meetup is at meetup.com/WP Tampa Bay. Our website is wptampabay.org. When you go to our website, we have our Slack chat, our Facebook group, and our meetups are all listed there. We are a member of the WordPress Tampa Bay network. And what that is a combined meetup group for most of Tampa Bay. That includes Tampa, St. Petersburg, Brandon, Valrico, Newport Richey, and possibly Lakeland. We haven't really expanded anything in that region yet, but basically we share a calendar. We host all of our events through the one WordPress Tampa Bay meetup group. And if you are interested in doing like a local gathering or something of that nature, just let us know and we'll pop it on the calendar for you. And you might get some people to show up for you. Be fun. So our upcoming meetups and events. Next month, July 18th, we're going to have an Ask Us Anything, another one of these, crowdsourcing report WordPress support workshop. We were going to do a social, but with the hurricane season popping in, I think we're going to take a break after this one and actually just take a break for the summer and be gone for August and September and come back in October. So that's the plan anyway. We're looking for speakers. If you are interested in talking about WordPress, web design, front end or back end, plugin reviews, theme reviews, anything pertinent to WordPress and web design, we'd love to have you talk. If you've never spoken public before, it's not a problem. You're going to be on one of these things and you only have to talk to one of us. So it's pretty easy to do. It's also great for your resume, your LinkedIn, or your Twitter, or whatever social media platform you love. And if you're interested in talking at one of these little things, just go to tampabay.org, click on the speakers link in the upper right-hand corner, and underneath that's a call for speakers. So let's see. All right, our code of conduct for tonight, there are no stupid questions except the one you didn't ask. We have actually collected questions from our Meetup RSVPs, and we've also got a YouTube and Facebook Live chat. So if you ask a question in there, we'll also bring it on the call and discuss it. We limit our question discussion to 10 to 15 minutes, and any more than that, and you really should be hiring a consultant. And it also keeps us from being here all night long. If you do end up joining the call to discuss your question, everyone gets to speak, but no crosstalk. I don't think we can probably drop this from this little list from now on, because this was more pertinent when we were meeting in person, because we used to meet in person and we would have people having conversations in the back of the room, and it would get really disruptive when we had people trying to answer questions up front. So this isn't really an issue anymore. So if you do dial in tonight, most of you folks are probably watching it on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, and that means that you actually have YouTube or Facebook in a browser window, and you've got your, the audio that you're listening to us right now coming through that audio tab. If you dial in to our StreamYard, we have a link that we provide into our chat. I just realized we didn't drop it. Elaine, I think, let me grab that real quick. I'll do it real fast. Hang on. Yeah, if you join our chat, we'll end up putting you down in a green room, which is kind of like you can listen to the broadcast going on, but you're actually physically not on the call yet. And what that does is it allows you to have time to configure your mic and your speakers so that they work properly. If you do end up coming into the call and you have your YouTube or your Facebook Live tabs open in another window and their audio is coming through, we're going to hear double audio, and you don't want that. You'll know that you're in the call when you have turned off the other tab, you've muted it, and you can hear the call through StreamYard. And that's pretty much all it takes. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's get started. Questions. Ask us anything. All right, I'm going to get rid of that little guy because I don't need him anymore. All right, folks, our first question of the night. Carol Broad asks, getting a page established with a header and a footer sticky. I want the header and the footer to stick for subsequent pages while giving me the ability to change an element, perhaps a photo. Travis actually found the answer to this one, which I thought was quite cool. Let me share a screen again, and I will share you the link, and I'll put the link on here as well. I'm going to hide that question real quick. Thank you, Travis, for finding this, because I would have never found this.
So that one I showed you, like it'll let you like do a sticky header and footer on a specific page.
Yeah.
But if you want to change pages, you're going to probably need to do something a little more complex than this, which I think is what the question's alluding to a little bit.
Possibly.
Is wanting it to like stay in place while changing through pages. And
well, if you refresh the page, it would automatically stick again on each page, because that's the whole thing. If you put it in the, it's like most, your sticky
to a
menus.
certain extent,
yeah. Your sticky menus, if they do, I mean, you'll just refresh the page, but they'll still be sticky at the top and the bottom. Now, this was a brilliant solution. It's on CSS tricks. I'll copy and paste this into the banner as well. Hang on, give me a second. Pop that out. The banner. Create a banner, copy. There you go. And that's the link.
It's a pretty simple solution.
Yeah, it's pretty simple solution. And I'll show you how it looks with the, hang on a second, share this tab instead. I got it. I modified their code a bit to get rid of the text above the header and below the footer. But yeah, there you go. It works perfectly. I had no idea you could do this. So I will be redesigning several other pages.
And it's so much easier nowadays too with Flexbox. Like if you want to have the footer, like at the very least be at the bottom of the window, even like if the content doesn't fit, because you can just do Flexbox and set the footer to be margin, like an automatic top margin.
Yeah. No, pretty smart. I think it's a brilliant idea. Okay.
It's nice not having to float everything anymore.
Agreed. Yeah, Flexbox is definitely, I need to learn more about it, but I'm getting there. So Susan asks, and her question was, need to know how to secure any WordPress website. We also had Emmanuel asked, how do you go about hardening a site locally before going live? And I think we had someone else also ask how to use secure. So this was pretty much a good topic discussion. So I found an article from Elementor's website on the WordPress security checklist, but I'm gonna, without sharing it, I'm just pretty much gonna go down some of the items that they mentioned that were pretty standard. They kind of had a 9-step checklist. You start with hosting, so you choose secure hosting, and that means, and you install SSL. You do not even think about doing WordPress without an SSL certificate. Nowadays, you can get them for free, so it's not that big a deal. You make
what
sure
do they consider secure hosting to be?
They did not mention any in theirs. So
no, not specific, but like what is in
up-to-date server software, malware monitoring and removal, firewalls, and other security measures, that sort of thing. They kind of like did a kind of a brief rush by. Basically, anything greater than PHP 7. Pretty much look at what WordPress requires.
At this point, you should be using PHP 8 because PHP 7 is not getting any updates.
Yeah, it's true. It's getting into live. So yeah, but the SSL certificate is required. Don't even think about even possibly running WordPress without having an SSL. Make sure your website's backed up. That means you've got to back it up yourself. That's one thing, but preferably choose a host that does automated backups, because your best bet of getting back into the site, if it gets hacked or otherwise, is to restore it from a backup.
Ideally, automated backups that you can control. That's what's nice.
Yes.
Something like Pagely offers automated backups, but that they do to S3. But you can also provide them like credentials to your own S3 bucket, and like they'll just
that's pretty cool.
The backups there instead.
Well, I mean, WP Engine and Flywheel do daily backup and file backups. So you can do restores of files or database. You can also kick that off anytime you want to, which is pretty nice. And that's just pretty much, this next one kind of goes hand in hand with that. Keep your plugins and your theme secure. which also means keeping your plugins and your themes updated. And that also means
Having
install
a
plugins.
staging instance to
Yes,
test those
thank you.
updates before you go live with them.
Exactly. And install plugins and themes from reliable sources. Don't even think
I
about
would say generally it's safe to update point releases without testing, because usually
Okay.
those are minor bug fixes and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. And can you explain what you mean by a point release so that people might know what that
A
means?
point release, like you generally like say like for a plugin like a 6.0, a 7.0 would be a major release, a 6.1, a 7.1 would be a minor release, and then like a 6.1.1 would be like a bug fix, like a maintenance release. That's just like a little change or a little bug fix or a security change, but like nothing significant that's going to break your site when you update. Usually breaking changes are safe for those major versions.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for that.
Obviously, it varies between plugin developers. Like always check the change log before you do updates and stuff like that.
And basically what they're saying when they say install plugins and themes from reliable sources, that means from the official directory, WordPress.org. That means if you, not from a pirate site, like if you're doing a paid plugin, don't you dare install it from one of those pirate sites out there because they can modify the code. That's kind of the whole reason why you buy your plugins from the premium plugin company that sells them, and that's kind of the only place you get them from, or reliable resellers of those particular plugins.
I don't think really any WordPress plugins out there use a reseller.
I don't think so either. Not that I'm
Occasionally,
aware of.
you might see some pop up on AppSumo, but like that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, your developer or your agency may be sub-licensing their plugin to you, but that's an entirely other story, and that kind of needs to be all as part of your contracts and stuff like that. They did mention one in here, disable file editing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a one line of code in your wp-config.php can do that. So pretty straightforward. Strengthen your login process, and that is changing your, the login screen.
Make sure there's no WordPress user with the username of admin.
Yes.
Install a two-factor security plugin.
Also do maybe limit login attempts.
Yeah.
Limit login attempts, yes. Ideally, your host is automatically configured to like block out bad actors like after they hit a certain amount of bad login attempts.
Yeah, they mentioned on here too, lock down your login page, which is like changing it to something like /login, new login, anything but WP login or WP admin, basically. They even talked on here about like you could try Cloudflare rate limiting. This automatically detects brute force attacks. The last step is to set up two-step authentication using a plugin. Do you recommend one?
For two-factor?
Mm-hmm.
You give me like 2 seconds to see
which
one I'm
well, you got time to find one. You got time. Yeah. So I will probably end up typing those up as a quick little block, and I'll throw that on the YouTube as well.
We're running one. It's called WP2FA. It's by
I have heard of that
WP
one.
White Security. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I used to use a white label plugin that did most of that for you, except for obviously the two-factor security stuff.
The one thing I will recommend if you do use like a two-factor plugin like that, usually to control the way they're like generating the one-time auth codes, they're injecting like a key that they're using to generate those into your WP config file. So if you do have a staging site and you do have a local site that you use, make sure to copy that key into the WP config file for the staging and local sites. Otherwise, that two-factor auth code will not work on the staging and local sites because it's using a different key.
Right. It makes sense.
Wait, repeat that again. I'm sorry, Travis.
So you know how in the WP config file, like you'll see like salts and stuff that are defined?
Yeah.
So like those two-factor plugins will usually add in their own kind of salt that they use to generate those one-time use codes.
Right.
So what you want to do is to replicate that code in the WP config file into your staging and local sites. because otherwise, when you go to log in on the staging or local sites, the two-factor key they're expecting is not the same as what you're using on production, because the key
Right.
it's using to generate it is different.
I see.
Did you
So to
copy
basically
that
back
link?
up a stack, essentially, when you're setting up your staging sites, when you're setting up your local sites, make sure in your WP config file, any custom constants that are defined are matched across all instances.
Makes sense.
And that's wptfa.io, I think.
Potentially.
Yeah. I'm going to just share the tab. I think that got us.
Yes, WP2FA.io. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So that's the one Travis is talking about there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Our next
I don't
question.
know if
Actually,
the,
we have a kind of a follow-up question from Nancy.
Let me just, can I just get one last point in on like what we
Yeah.
were, make sure before like you're, review the capabilities that each role has access to, and that those, what users have, what roles users are assigned to on your site, so you know what data people have access to.
You don't need 100 administrators. You really don't.
No.
Most people can get by with editor access just fine.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're doing sites for clients and their for your customers and stuff like that, or you're setting up websites for customers, give them an admin account, but make it a super special, locked in a red box. Only use this in the case of emergency type thing. Because you need to make sure that your customers have the ability to do what they need to do with the sites and the hosts and the database and the website and everything else that you've given them access to. But they don't need to do that every day.
Similarly, consider installing a plugin like Stream, which logs all the changes that are happening on a site, like when somebody logs in, edits a post, that kind of thing, so you can keep track of like if something malicious happens, you can track down who did it. Isn't
the other one called WP Logger or something like that? I think
I'm not sure. WP or Stream is the only one I've ever used. So that's the only one I can.
There's one I know I've used one because it actually logs like Gravity Forms events and stuff like that too. So it actually has like a whole bunch. I think it's called WP Logger.
But Securi has that plugin I use that's just like, it lets you know anytime anybody logged in and did something to a post.
Okay. Do you know what plugin that is?
Securi.
I mean, but I mean, what plugin of theirs it is? They're just the security
it's
stuff.
A free one.
Oh, they have a free one. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You didn't know where they had anything free, so
I can find it.
Okay. Cool. If you can, just cut and paste it into the chat, and I'll banner it up. Nancy had a follow-up question that was kind of like, what are the reliable places to buy plugins? You want to buy them from the source. So like typically if you're on WordPress.org and they have a free version and a pro version, you want to try it out first on the pre and then go check it out on their pro sites. I mean, there is iThemes and Code Canyon. And is it Code Canyon?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. They're there. You're playing with fire with that one. And Envato.
I feel like you can sense how good the code is for a premium plugin based on how like well written their website is. I feel like if they're marketing, when I say like well written, like is it like grammatically correct and stuff like that? If it's
well, I mean, Pods had a hideous website for the longest time, but their product was amazing because they just didn't.
I didn't say the design though. I said how well written like the copy is.
Okay, I get you. So yeah. The only thing is are they coding to WordPress best practices? Yeah. Are they, all that kind of stuff? And of course, now with JavaScript, it's a whole other world there.
Which if you don't understand code, like that's hard to sense. But like if you go to the website, you can usually, you feel it. You feel like, okay, I can trust this place.
Look for testimonials, look for reviews, look for their online community, that kind of thing. And ask questions. It never hurts, So hopefully that answered that pretty clearly, I hope. Now, Amy had asked a nice question. We also had another question that was kind of close to this as well. She's looking to network, but also find work as a beginner. And the other fellow was asking a question about how to get started or how to find work on the side, kind of like a side hustle with this kind of stuff. And honestly, you put your shingle out. I mean, Elaine has been an agency. I've been an agency. I've done self-employed stuff. I don't know if Travis, did you ever do agency work?
Yeah, for quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, the post comes down to is that you need to make sure that you have your own website that is a professional website. Try to build a portfolio together. If you're looking for work and you're just having a hard time finding it, I hate to suggest going on Fiverr when Codeable is a much better solution, but Fiverr will get you more exposure sometimes, but you'll also be competing for a ridiculous amount of stuff. Don't undersell yourself. That's one of the most important things. Do not undersell yourself. You cannot do a website for $150. That just isn't. That's not reasonable.
But when you start going to these platforms where you can bid on projects and get work that way, eventually you will do enough of those where you'll start building up a network where you're starting to get those natural referrals.
Yeah, it's true. But find a handful. Like if you're a builder, like if you like using Elementor and Beaver Builder and all of those little strange themes that do the same thing that the block editor does, have at it. But specialize in that and be good at it. Try to create a handful of things. See if you can create a handful of sites that are replicatable so that they are generic enough that they cover a wide range of bases and you only have to change graphics and colors and maybe font choices and stuff like that.
Get in the Facebook groups for those products. And like, there's going to be people in there looking for help that you could probably find some work that way.
We get requests for help on our Facebook group all the time. Put your shingle out there. Just say, looking for work. Pop it out.
Especially if you go into groups like that, not off the bat looking for work, but just like commenting and providing advice, then you become a familiar, like known source of like you're reliable and stuff. And then you might even start just like naturally have people coming your way.
Well, I know like for Generate Press, I mean, they're only a theme. Now, granted, they also have Generate Blocks, but Generate Press is just a theme. But it's a very robust and flexible theme, and it's fast and it's speedy, and it's not that expensive. And I've noticed that a lot of people just honestly just pop on there and answer questions, and they get work from that alone because they're just getting work fixing other people's sites. So there's lots of ways to get started at this, even as a beginner. So it's doable. Very good question, by the way, Amy. And my name disappeared. I closed my Slack, so I don't have it anymore.
It's just you gotta grind it out a bit until you reach that tipping point of just like having enough people that you've worked with that you start getting referrals.
Right, exactly. And for the software package that Elaine was talking about, give me a second. I'll drop that into our banners as well. That is WordPress.org plugin security scanner. So it's the security scanner, which I think, isn't that the same thing they have where you can do that from their website as well?
You mean a free scan?
Yeah, well, you can scan the site.
That's a little different. That's a little different.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
This one will log everybody who has logged in.
Okay, cool. All righty then. Let's see. Next question. Nancy May asks how to tell what type of WordPress I have. I have version 6.2, but not sure if there's a difference between that and .org. Well, the easiest way to tell if you're on .org versus .com is to, I need to log into both. So give me just a bit. Talk amongst yourselves real quick. I should have had this one ready.
Where is the easiest way to like find out what WordPress version you're using?
I've had a hard time finding that now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
if you go to the dashboard, in the very bottom right, it does say the version number.
Okay, so all right, let me do this real quick. This is going to be, am I not sharing anymore? I guess I'm not. Shame on me. Let me get rid of the question real quick. So present, share screen, window, nope, Chrome tab. That one, okay. So I am currently logged into the WordPress dashboard on my WordPress.org self-hosted site, actually locally. And here's the version down here in the far, like Travis was talking about. You take when you're on the dashboard, you scroll all the way down and it's right there at the bottom. And And this is how you can tell you're in a WordPress.org site because it looks different. I'm going to pop over to a WordPress.com site and share this.
Well, I think
tab
we should
instead.
clarify. It's not a WordPress.org site. It's a self-hosted WordPress instance.
Right. But in most cases, you're downloading the code from WordPress.org if you're going to install it. The WordPress.com is completely different, though. It looks like this because you're actually logged into kind of like a special kind of dashboard that only looks like their stuff. Your sites that you have access to are built here. Yeah, it just looks different. You'll know. You'll also have access to, like if you're underneath your account, you'll actually, when you click on my profile, you'll have account settings and all this other kind of stuff. So that's how you tell. Okay. Hopefully that helped. Let's see. Next question. This is from our other Nancy, who's actually on our chat tonight as well. Boy, there, folks are asking questions like crazy tonight, aren't they? We have actually an active chat this evening. So Nancy asks, I have 3 blogs and I'm interested in monetizing them. Also would like to change the name on one. Is that possible? If they're on WordPress, you can change the name pretty easily. It depends. If you're changing the domain name or are you changing the name? Because those are 2 completely different things. If you're changing the domain name, you are going to have to register a new domain. You're going to have to change it inside your dashboard settings. But if you're just changing the name, like I can go in here and I'll share my screen again. I should just left that up there. That was silly. I keep doing that, don't I? Like, okay, this is, here, I'll zoom up a little bit. This is our local Ask Us Anything. So if I go there and look at the site, it's going to say Ask Us. But if I go into the customizer, oh, I was just there. Silly me. It's underneath Appearance, Customize, and it's underneath your site identity. You can change the name right here. This is one place you can change it, I think. Let me see. I think you can also change it in Settings General. So we're going to call this Ask Us Anything. It's for questions. And it just automatically does it. Pretty straightforward. You can also change it in your settings, general, right there, site title, tagline. This is also where you would change the domain name if you're changing the domain of your site. So, but
if you do end up changing the domain of your site, things to think about are making sure you have proper 301. Those are permanent redirects, right?
Yes.
301s.
301s are permanent redirects. Yeah.
You want to set up a 301 redirect from your old domain to your new domain. You want to make sure in Google Analytics, and if you use Google Search Console, you want to make sure you update the domain of both of those so that Google properly re-indexes those. If you're using something like Stripe to collect payments, you want to make sure you update your webhook callbacks to your new domain.
If you're using an email service or forms and stuff like that, you need to make sure that your email domains and everything are changing. So changing a domain, changing the name of a site is really straightforward, but changing the domains are a whole nother ball of wax. So.
If you're using a third-party service like say like Postmark or SendGrid to send emails, you'll need to update the DNS records on the new domain for the verification.
We may be going a little too deep on this one.
Yeah. I'm just listing off things because I just recently did this, and like there's stuff I like the whole Google Analytics, or it was Search Console. I think we did not update, and like we noticed a dip in sales for a little bit actually after changing our domain because stuff wasn't linked up properly in Google, and like once we like updated that, like we saw us go right back up.
Yeah.
So I don't want somebody else to suffer the mistakes that I made.
Right. I think Nancy confirmed. She just said just changing the name. So if you're changing the name but not changing the domain name, you can do it right there where I showed you in the dashboard. Things you do have to think about though is that if you have an existing search out there, you need to make sure obviously that you update your social media names and stuff like that. It's going to impact a little bit. You also make sure that nobody else has the name, you know. If you're calling your site Ask Us Anything, there's lots of Ask Us Anythings out there. So I would not want to publish this site. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, that's kind of how that one goes. And you were asking about monetizing. I haven't monetized in forever. So, I mean, there's affiliate links. You could do, affiliate. You could do like, there's a lot of people that do blogs that actually do like cover or review products, and they'll include the shop link to Amazon so that they'll get like if someone buys that product from their website at Amazon from your linked review, you'll get a kickback from Amazon. Very minor, of course, but it's at least a kickback. But then also some of these product companies will pay you to review their stuff, but you've got to get a following for that kind of stuff. I know a lot of food bloggers that do recipes and stuff like that. Once they've gotten a pretty good base out there, they get a lot of offers to review products and review,
Also, writing quality content, doing keyword research, including those keywords, researching what are people searching for, what's the exact long keyword phrase, which a lot of it now is, audio, from verbal search on
the phones. Yeah.
Phones or all the devices that people search by voice.
Yep.
And you have, if your blog post answers what people are asking,
Yeah.
or
That's
your title is a question, how many eggs will it take to make a quiche, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did it too. I said, give me a top 10 of steps to take to secure your WordPress website. Boom. Found a blog post. And that's kind of how that kind of stuff works, is that you write your blog titles and your content exactly like Elaine's talking about to hit what people are searching for. That gives you organic search, because you don't have to pay an SEO company to do that. You really don't. You don't have to go crazy along those lines. You just have to understand what kind of audience you're trying to hit. And exactly what Elaine said, do the exact same thing one of your customers would do. Ask a question of search of what you're trying to find and see, does my title match? Can I structure my title?
And also your content has to be quality and go into depth about that topic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's just writing good content,
Connect your site to Google's Search Console, and you'll be able to see like incoming search queries, and then you like go backwards, and now like we're going to create content around those search queries.
That's true too. Yeah. I honestly don't do a lot of that. Like when I did Denise's site, because so much of her stuff was relevant and most of her titles were relevant and stuff like that, when we redid her site, it all just kind of worked. And I find that that's the case a lot of times. Like even with WordPress Tampa Bay, if you search for WordPress in Tampa, WordPress in St. Pete, WordPress, that kind of thing, we're still in the top 10. So
what I notice now is every headline in emails and online, it has the word AI in it or GPT in it, because that's what people are searching for and want to know about. Right?
I find that crap just stupid.
I do. It's grabbing eyes and stuff.
Yeah, but don't write about it if you don't know about it. Write about what you know. That's the most important thing. And I think that's even what Nancy's saying. She says, I began my blog years ago. Life has kept me from them for several years, but I'm ready to get back to them. And, her next question is, are there people who can review them and offer critiques? Yes, Nancy, there are. If you drop into our Slack chat, if you drop into our Facebook group, throw your stuff up there, and you'll get people to take a look at the stuff and see and give you some honest feedback. And if that's like, you have to be willing to take that honest feedback though, too. And also look at what your subject matter is of your blogs. You may find that there are actually Facebook groups or other communities that already exist for that. Like there's a lot of writers communities, the NaNoWriMo National Novel Writing Month. A lot of that particular thing is only 1 month of the year, but that entire process has like spawned massive numbers of writing groups. And you can reach out to those and get feedback. If you're a writer and that's primarily what you focus on. If you're a food blogger or a recipe writer, or you test kitchen equipment, or you do gardening, or you do DIY house improvements and stuff like that. follow those channels, follow those groups, find the websites that you like, that you're inspired by, and then start looking at their community and start jumping in and asking for reviews of what you're writing. So
I will say on the ChatGPT point, that thing is so good for finding like the weirdest WordPress hooks you might need for some problem.
Okay. That
Okay,
actually kind of
good.
makes
Good to
sense.
know.
Yeah, because I was
Yeah,
just
that
like
kind-
trying to figure out like we're trying to do a thing with one of our products to like, hey, if this customer does not, I want to like prevent someone being able to update one of our products if they don't have like a specific version of Gravity Forms installed, and like how with a premium plugin, how do I cut that off? And it like it brought to the surface like the correct filters that I need to use, even with like somewhat the correct code to like cut it off properly. I was pretty impressed.
Nice. There you go. So, Nancy, actually, let me see where we are on our questions here. We're at 7:05. We still got about 25 minutes more. So, Nancy did say that we answered her question. She said, thank you. Here's a quick one from Carol, how to add a calendar to the page. If you're talking about like a calendar, like a Meetup calendar or like an event calendar, use the Events Palette Calendar plugin. It's just the easiest way to get started. There are other versions that are out there, but honestly, if you want a calendar that actually is like a calendar of events and you can actually use it to be a useful calendar, that's the best way, is to find an events calendar plugin, like the Events Calendar by Modern Tribe. There's other ones out there, but that's the one most people use. And
Sugar, do they still do
Sugar?
calendar?
I've never heard of that one.
Pippin did it. Made that.
Sugar
May have been
calendar?
bought up by somebody else.
By
I
also
know he gave it up. I know he gave up Sugar Calendar, but I don't.
Yeah,
know.
it's owned by Awesome Motive now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, you can
That was
tell.
a real simple one. That was a real.
You
simple
can you can immediately tell because the site looks exactly like every other Awesome Motive website. And see, that's the Sugar Calendar. We use the events calendar on wptampabay.org. So here we go. I'll share this tab instead. This is ours. This piece here is like an events calendar shortcode. But if you go to the event calendar itself, it's kind of like really easy to see. It works pretty well. You can, every calendar item is a post. So it's pretty straightforward. And talking in that sense, that every calendar item is a post. One of our
Does it
next
have
questions.
payment gateways? Does it have payment gateways, or you have to add?
You can if you set it for tickets. There's a plugin called Event Tickets, and you can sell
Okay.
tickets through it, or you can sell tickets through not Ticketmaster, but Eventbrite, that kind of thing. So both of those are. Event Tickets is a free plugin, but if you want the payment gateways, it's a paid plugin. So I use Events Calendar just because I know it and I'm comfortable with it, and I was able to modify it for everything we needed it for. So that's primarily why I use it. Actually, our next question kind of rolls right into that. Caremanity Nancy asks, what's the difference between a page and a post in WordPress? Well, it's pretty straightforward. I'll show you inside our little thing again. Let's see. Where did my Ask Us Anything go? Oh, I closed it. Hang on. I'll reshare that one or find that little thing again. There we go. All right, let me share this. All right. When you're in the dashboard, your pages are here. Pages typically are your static pages. They're things like your about page, your contact form, your staff page if you have a page of your staff members, that kind of thing, your services page, that kind of thing. Posts, on the other hand, are date-based. They are very much of the sense of everything inside posts is a date and has a date and time attached to it. You don't have to use that date and time, but by default, when you set up WordPress, it's going to, like if I go in here and preview this page, it's going to, I have to actually publish it, I think. Hang on back. We'll look at one that's actually published. That one's published. So we'll view that one. It should have a date and time here, but it's using, when I do blog posts, typically when I set up a blog site, I make sure that blog posts have the date and time prefix to them so that they they have some kind of like date semblance as awareness of them. But typically your blog, your posts are for things that belong to your date-based content. Your pages typically are things like your shop, your my account, that kind of stuff. Okay.
I
Hopefully
would
that
say
answered.
too, like it depends on like what kind of blog content you're doing. If
True.
you're doing more like evergreen sales content, you don't necessarily want the date in the slug because you don't want
Right.
like that content to appear to be old.
Yeah, but my issue comes down to is that, let's say, like for instance, we run into this all the time because all of our Ask Us Anything events are called Ask Us Anything. So I have to actually go in and change that slug to put in the year and the month and the day of that Ask Us Anything, so that it's a very specific event. Denise has like 10 years of blog content. So her date-based slugs for her posts are very critical to her. So she keeps those. That kind of
It's
thing.
very much it's context dependent.
It is. It's context dependent. Yeah. So hopefully that answered that question as well. We are at 7:11. I think that's a perfect time to just end it. Just kidding. But we have a lot of people ask some really good questions this evening. We have like 9 whole viewers, which is just wonderful. I can't imagine how that happens. I think 3 of those are us. 10 whole viewers now. I just went up by 1. That's interesting. But so we're going to wrap this. We will be back next month. Since I have it on the calendar, I'll go ahead and do it. I'll do one next month. We may blend it a little bit and try to do something teaching wise. I don't know.
I'm going to put this in the chat. Did you see this one?
Which one? Oh, is it a new one?
At 6:30, it was posted at 6:30.
Oh, on our RSVP?
Yeah.
Okay, let me drop
Roland
that in.
Foster.
I think we got time to throw that in here. Hang on, I'll drop it in the real one. And thank you for adding that, Elaine. I appreciate that. We painted his name twice, though. Let me get rid of one of those. There you go. Let's see. I have experienced a site where both the site URL and home URL appear on the home page. Is there any way to force the site to only use the home URL so you can have security around the site URL? I don't know why you'd have those be different.
I'm confused as to why the site URL and home URL are appearing on the homepage, or how they're appearing on the homepage.
Yeah, because that isn't normal. I mean, they'd be in the address bar, but they wouldn't be by default.
I believe most things in WordPress get things based off of the home URL.
No, they use the site because the site
URL.
Yeah, the REST API, everything is based off the site URL typically.
Are you sure? Because I'm looking at the get permalink function, and it's based off the home URL.
Okay. Then
he's here. Roland is here, so
he is.
Yeah, he says that he was late.
Oh, he's late.
The YouTube. I see his chat.
I'm going back up and I'm looking. I don't see it. Let's see.
In YouTube.
Yeah, Roland, if you're hearing us, I mean, I know we're a little bit delayed, but if you're hearing us and have a question, can you clarify that question a bit? Because we're not really sure what you mean there. I mean, we can see it. That would help. Like if you have a link to the site, that'd be the easiest way for us to know. And honestly, if we don't get an answer to this question tonight, I'll take your post that you did on the RSVP and I'll just send you a message through Meetup and ask you what you meant. That's something that we're going to start doing a little more often, is like if we don't get to certain questions or if questions are not clear, I'm going to make sure that we follow up afterwards and just ask you and Meetup what you meant. Okay. So yeah, he's not coming back, I don't think. So good question, but I have no idea what it means.
You can definitely override the site URL and the home URL with constants in your WP config file for sure.
Okay.
All right, he's got a couple comments here. I want to have access to CMS more secure with security.
Where are you seeing this?
In YouTube chat.
It's not showing up in our comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in our comments at all.
top
All right.
chat in YouTube. YouTube.
Yeah, I can't leave that right now and go to there because if I do, I'm going to start
fine.
playing audio from that.
He doesn't really answer. I want to have access to CMS. Then he posts again, more secure, posts again with security.
Okay, we're just going to have to take that one offline. And
Okay.
yeah, I'll look at the chat and see what I can find from on the YouTube itself. And we can respond to those. If it's actually a chat inside the YouTube chat thing, we can actually reply to those within the stream of that particular item. So, but I'm going to try to hit them on Meetup instead. I think that just makes more sense. So, yeah.
I don't believe you need to like do the whole thing anymore where you need to like obscure where the login URL in the admin area is. It doesn't really do that much to like security wise, honestly.
Okay.
You're better off doing like what we discussed earlier.
Right. Yeah. Changing the /login.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Just doing more like hardening stuff and like blocking repeat attempts and that kind of thing.
Right. Well, if you use any of those plugins that change the login URL, they're honestly gonna look for WP login.php and reroute you to that page anyway. Because we get those on support questions all the time. I kind of noted last call we had, we spent like 10 minutes with one of those kind of calls where the person had asked a question, but they weren't clear. We tried to get them in a chat and we wasted that. We went back and forth quite a bit and then never, I actually responded to them on Meetup and never even heard anything. So we're going to try not to do that anymore if we can help that. So we're not ever trying to be rude, but we're trying to keep the call moving along because we're all doing this volunteer and we don't want to make you guys stay up all night long either, especially if you haven't eaten dinner yet. So, but yeah, we'll look at the YouTube chat, Roland, and see where your question is coming from and see if we can get you a better answer. Okay. So, all right, folks, wrap it up. We will see you guys July 18th next month. Have a wonderful 4th of July.
Bring your questions next month.
Yes, definitely bring your questions next month. Do the RSVP. It's the best way to get your questions in there. Please try to be specific. Don't just type a word, a noun.
There's no such thing as too much context.
Yes, there's no such thing as too much context. Believe me, we'll use it because we love answering these questions. It's kind of fun. It's our entire manner and purpose in being. So if you haven't already, visit our website at wptampabay.org. We have all of our prior Ask Us Anything streams are all linked in there. All of our prior classes, everything. It's all in there. It's wonderful. Make sure you like and subscribe to us on, make sure you like and subscribe to us on YouTube. It helps our ratings. Hopefully it helps some sort of stuff out there and makes people like us on YouTube. And thank you again, Travis and Elaine, for being here tonight and answering questions as clearly and succinctly as you guys did. You were all wonderful. And bye-bye, and we'll see you next month. And where's my ending cap? I know it's on here somewhere. Is that it? It's got to be. Yep, it's missing something. It is missing something. Hang on a second. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong one. Don't mind me for being bad. Here we go. All right, now here's our proper end cap. Bye, everybody. See you next month. Thank you for watching a recorded session from WordPress Tampa Bay Meetup. We meet monthly through Meetup on live stream on the third Tuesday of the month through our YouTube channel and Facebook group. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up in YouTube and be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified of new videos. Find out more about WordPress Tampa Bay at our website at wptampabay.org. Thanks.